Today's episode is brought to you by Health IQ. Health IQ uses science and data to secure lower rates on life insurance for health-conscious people. So if you're a runner, a cyclist, a strength trainer, or an OCR athlete, like you probably are since you're listening to this podcast, and you don't have life insurance, I would hit up Health IQ because they offer discounts for being healthy. What you need to do is you need to head over to their website, healthiq.com/SASP for Strength and Speed Podcast. Once you get over to their website, you're going to have to take a Health IQ quiz, and that's going to see if you qualify for lower rates on your life insurance. Plus, you can get additional savings by submitting actual data, so things like race results, Strava, Runkeeper, or any other application that you use to actually track your fitness. 56% of Health IQ customers save between 4 and 33% on their life insurance. So if you're with another life insurance agency and you're not taking advantage of all the fitness work you're putting in on your spare time, then you need to switch companies right now. Car insurance companies give you lower rates for being a good driver. There's no reason that health insurance companies shouldn't give you a lower rate for being a healthier person by doing things like training, running, lifting weights, and participating in our favorite sport, OCR. You don't have to be an elite athlete to qualify. You just have to be the type of person who's putting in a little bit of time and effort to make yourself healthier. And if you're listening to this podcast, chances are that's you. So head on over to healthiq.com/SASP and see if you qualify for lower rates today. Welcome back to the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Evan Preparis, and I have two gingers on the line joining me today. So I have my normal co-host on the line, Brenna. Say hi.
Hello, hello. Ready to represent for some ginger power tonight.
And our other special guest straddles the world of equestrian and OCR. She is the dark horse of Toughest Mudder, as they called her on CBS. Adriane Alvord, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I enjoy the dark horse title.
I double punned horse jokes there.
Yeah, no,
straddling.
It's perfect, though. It really is. Like, when they said that, I was like, what a better name to have than the dark horse.
Cool. So before we get that, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown for our listeners of our bio in case they don't know who you are. So her podium results date back to 2014. She finished first at Savage Race. 2015, we got some more podium finishes. First at ABF Mud Run, a permanent course in, I believe, New Jersey area. Third at Mud Guts and Glory, the home to OCR World Championships for 2 years. First place at Savage Race, 2015. 2015 OCR World Championships, 7th place, females 19 to 24 age group. She was 11th place at the BattleFrog Point Series in 2015. Third place, BattleFrog Challenge, New Jersey. Moving on to 2016, first place at Shale Hill 8-Hour Polar Bear Challenge. So Shale Hill, one of my favorite courses up in Vermont. Third place at the one and only BFX 24, which we'll talk about later. A couple more podium finishes at Savage. Another podium finish at Mud Guts and Glory in 2016. 2017 qualified for city finals for American Ninja Warrior in Daytona Beach. And has been crushing it in 2017 at Toughest Mudder. So 6th place in Toughest Mudder South, 5th place Toughest Mudder Philly, 7th place Toughest Mudder Canada, 6th place Toughest Mudder Chicago, and then 7th place in the Toughest Mudder points rankings. So that's just for OCR, right? So that's only like half of what we're talking about today. So I'm going to also cover some of the horse highlights, which I'm a little out of my league here, but I'm going to try to give a quick rundown. So started her business, Adriane Alvord Dressage, in 2013 at 19 years old. 2015 qualified for the Junior Olympics for dressage. 2015 ranked 10th in the country on the National Young Riders ranking list, 6th in the country for Grand Prix Young Rider. Grand Prix is the highest level and the level you compete at in the Olympics. 2015 earned her United States Dressage Federation gold medal, and 2015 ranked first nationally for Arab Cross at Grand Prix and second nationally for the Hanoverian Society at the Grand Prix St. George level. That's the rundown.
You said it pretty well.
All right.
Well, man, I think that covers the podcast. That right there was pretty impressive.
I'm like, wow, that's long-winded.
So before we dive headfirst into equestrian, or let's start out with the very basics, right? Like, I don't know pretty much anything about anything having to do with horses. So, like, give me, I guess, the overview of equestrian sports, or whatever it's called, equine. Is that the correct term?
Yeah, equestrian is like the right term, and that's like pretty much the broadest you can get with it. So, that equestrian pretty much just means that you deal and ride with horses, and then like within that you have different sports within riding and equestrian. The main ones, which are like in the Olympics, are dressage, which is what I do. Which, like, the best way I can describe it is like it's like ballet on horses, and it's judged really similarly to like how figure skating is, where you have like a set pattern you have to perform, and then the judges judge it movement by movement. So you have that, and then you also have show jumping, which is like when you see in the arena a bunch of jumps. That's one of the other sports, like with one of the main ones. And then the third Olympic sport is called eventing, which I actually used to do and still dabble in it a little bit, where you have dressage, show jumping, and cross country, that's over like a few mile course of like solid fences. And actually, Corinna Coffin's dad, I don't think he does it anymore, but he was on an Olympic team for eventing. So those are like your three major sports. And then you have other stuff like, there's the Western and like reining, all this crazy stuff. But those are like the ones that are probably the most established and have like really good governing bodies for it.
So, dumb question. The horse, are you standing next to the horse when it's dancing, or you're not on top of it, correct?
I know. No, you're on top of the horse. So
oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Because when I went to medieval times, they were standing next to the horse, and I was less impressed.
See, so I'm actually trying to teach my horse how to do some crazy stuff next to him. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be dancing next to him if he doesn't kick me in the head before then.
So you said your horse is judged like on the movements. Do you get judged too, like based off what you're doing on the horse, or is it all solely like the horse's movements?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So it's scored movement by movement. So the test will have anywhere, like the lower level tests are only like 10 movements. Grand Prix, it's like 31 movements. And so then when they're scoring it, they're mostly looking at the horse. So it has a lot to do with you, how you influence the horse. And then they're actually, at the very end, there's a collective remarks, which are separate from the movement by movement. And one of them is a rider score. So it's like, how effective are your cues to the horse? Like, how did you influence the horse? You do get a rider score, but you see, it's interesting because, like, this is my little bit of beef with the sport, is that you can kind of get ahead in it by just knowing the right people and having the money to buy the horse and having a good trainer. Because at some point, like, you can just have, like, the trainer get the horse really tuned up and then the rider sits on it. And you still have to know what you're doing, but I don't feel like it's as authentic as with OCR, where, like, if you do well racing in OCR, it's because, like, you trained your butt off. Now, you can, like, train your butt off and, like, be this really great rider, but if you don't know the right people and don't have the sponsors and the money, like, you're not going to get as far as with racing if you just work really hard. So, yeah, it is movement by movement, and the rider does have a lot to do with it, but at some point it's, like, has to do with, like, where did the horse come from and how well is the horse trained.
Interesting. So how long is it out there, or are you out there dancing, or the horse is dancing for?
So the tests are only about like 5 to 7 minutes long. It's about
that's pretty long. I feel like
and it is. It's quite a bit. Like, that's about how long one test takes. So then you'll get on like 30 minutes before that to warm the horse up to get ready for it. But the actual like performance itself or the test is like 5 minutes.
And so you kind of do both, right? Like, you train horses and your horse, but then you also, like, you ride your horse for competition, right?
Yeah. So, and it's, like, I feel like it changes, like, year to year. It just kind of depends on, like, what my clientele is. So, like, sometimes it's, like, just me competing like a client's horse because like the horse needs experience, or like the owner just wants to own a horse. And then other times it's like me training the horse so the rider can show it, or it's just me going and coaching the rider and the horse. So it's a mixture of all of them. And some years like last year, 2016 and 2017, like I wasn't competing as much as I have prior, just because I was mostly coaching. And then this next year I'll probably be competing more because now I have my own horse. So he's gonna rocket young horse classes.
Which I know as the Black Unicorn, but that's actually Drake, correct?
Yeah, it's Drake. Actually, his show name is Draconis. Just being super fancy. But we call him Drake, or the Black Unicorn, because he's super majestic and magical. And I think he's the best horse on earth. But, that's
he's entertaining. I saw him eating your side mirror.
Oh, my gosh. You have to look at my Instagram story from today. He literally, I was playing tag with him, and the little dickhead, body slammed me. And I'm like, okay, this horse, wants to be a football player. Just body slammed me.
All right, so I want to back up for a quick second and just ask, how did you, have you grown up your entire life with your family around horses and equestrian? Or, I know we said that you started your own business when you were 19. So, how did you get into horses or start this whole journey?
Yeah, so my mom's a horse trainer, and, I've just been around horses, ever since I was a baby. There's actually pictures of me on the horse, as literally a newborn, which I don't know if was the safest thing, but that made me not ever be afraid of them. And so I just, growing up, I worked in the barn, and I go and work at some trainers' places over the summer, and I knew it's what I wanted to do. And my mom actually really discouraged me from it. She was like, you don't want to be a horse trainer, you don't want to deal with this world, la la la. And I'm the kind of person that if you tell me not to do something, I'm probably going to do it just because of that. And I wanted to really do it, but her telling me not to just made me want to do it more. So, when I turned 18, my family was just kind of falling apart, and they were like, oh, you can't take the horse to college and all this other shit. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave. I left home. I went to go work for one of our, at the time he was the young horse coach for the U.S. And so I went to go work for them and just kind of got going in that. And then after I was there for 6 months, just came back to Virginia and started my own business. So, yeah, I just always knew I wanted to do it. It's my life.
So that's your full-time job now. It's your business. You're Adriane Alvord Equestrian, or Adriane Alvord Dressage. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Adriane Alvord Dressage. Yeah, it's pretty much been the only job I've really ever had. So in high school, I started riding for some people in high school and teaching lessons, and then ever since when I left home, I was working for someone else, and then since 19, that's just been my full-time, everyday job. It's changed a little bit. Again, year by year, it kind of changes and morphs, and it's not quite as busy as it used to be, just because I decided it was a lot. At one point, I had 17 horses, and I was leasing this entire facility, and it was just, I'm much more of quality over quantity kind of person. And at a certain point, more horses doesn't mean you're making more, because you're just ending up spending so much in expenses for the horses and labor. And I don't want to ever be that big again. It's just too much.
That's crazy. And please clarify for those, you started this when you were 19, and how old are you now?
I will be 24 in March.
So you're still young, but you started this young. That's just crazy to think that it's that's what you do, and how, I think of it as kind of prestigious, it's just very, just anybody that gets into equestrian type of lifestyle.
Yeah, I think it seems like this really shiny, fancy thing, but behind the scenes, it's really not it's just not as glamorous as you think it is. It's great. I love it because I'm active, and I love working with the horses. It's so wonderful, but I'll see these little kids who they'll come up to me, or their parents will come up to me, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, my kid wants to be a horse trainer someday. And now I feel like my mom, because I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't want to. Don't go down that road. You'll never make enough money. You'll always be tired. And I wouldn't want to do anything else, but I can totally see where my mom was coming from now.
So what you're saying, if your mom's listening, is that your mom was right.
I know. Yeah, there you go. Win, Mom. Maybe she'll listen to this one then.
I feel like that's the way you got to be with most professions, though, because if someone really, really wants it, I mean, they're going to put their heart and soul into it. So if people are discouraging them to do it, and you're still like, no, I'm still 100% in, that's kind of like a good gateway to entry for pretty much any.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, that's like, you're so right. I think any business, anything that's going to be serious someday, like you have to like put in that work. And like we always, like I was a working student for a while, and we always joke like when you're a working student, like you're literally like a slave. Like you don't get paid. Like you work for nothing, like 7 days a week, but like you have to do it. Like you have to pay your dues. You have to like work nonstop, and then you can go from that. But, you know, most people, they get to the working student phase and, like, they can't handle it because it's just, like, such long hours and you're doing everything and you're in charge of, like, you're tacking up for, like, 3 different people getting their horses ready, and you're in charge of the rest of the horses in the barn, and then you have to get your horse ready in between. And I think that really separates people, like, from the people that really want to do it, like, no, like, okay, like, this is just how it is for now. Like, I'm not going to be able to eat all day. I'm going to get, like, 5 hours of sleep, and then maybe someday I can make it. And it just seems like other jobs are like that, too. I wouldn't know, but just from what I've heard from people that make it big, like, you have to kind of put in that suffering.
What is like, the average week look like, I guess, for you, and then also for the horse? Like, what is it doing day to day, per se?
Yeah, so it's different, like, depending on where the horse is at. For me, like, right now, I have my business structured a little bit differently, that now I have my horses placed at different barns, and when I used to have, like, my own barn, it was a lot more intensive. But so now most of the horses are on, like, work 4 to 5 days a week, split up between me and their owner. Then my horse, like, he only works a few days a week because he's younger. So pretty much I, like, get up in the morning and either, like, do my workout or start earlier from the barn, and then I just kind of, like, go on the circuit around Northern Virginia, driving barn to barn to either like just ride the horse for the owner or give a lesson to them. And then I come home and I work out. But yeah, it's interesting though, because I feel like a lot of people that don't understand, like, fitness put too much pressure on the horses, and I'll have, like, these people that want to, like, ride the horses, like, none of my clients do this now, but I've had clients in the past that, like, they want to, like, work the horse, like, 6 or 7 days a week, and they want to, like, go take it up and down hills every single day. And anyone who is athletic knows, like, okay, you don't do hill repeats every single day. So, like, you just don't. And then the thing with the horses is they can't, like, at least for us, when we're torturing ourselves, like, we're like, okay, I'm torturing myself because I have this race in a month. Like, for a horse, like, when you're working the shit out of them, like, all they're thinking is, like, what did I do? Like, what did I do wrong? So, like, I'm a really big believer in, like, the longevity of the sport and keeping the horses happy. So that, to me, it's, like, in my perfect world, like, if I didn't have to run these crazy long races, like, I would maybe want to work out, like, 4 days a week and, like, enjoy myself. So, like, that's what I pretty much do for most of the horses, is, like, 4 days a week of, like, real work, whether it's me riding them too and the owner riding them too, but, like, that's kind of the plan. And then, like, if they're really good and they, like, get the point of the lesson, like, if I'm like, okay, today we're just going to work on you being straight, like, just be straight. Don't be, like, wobbling all over the place like you're drunk. Then if that horse, like, gets it, figures out the point of the lesson in, like, 10 minutes, and that horse is done, because then they learn, like, okay, like, I did it right, I got rewarded, I was done. Now if that horse is a jerk, and they're, like, flinging me into walls, then it's going to be, like, you know, whenever they decide to do it. So then it could be, like, an hour, and it very rarely ever gets that long. Like, normally it's, like, a 25, 30-minute ride. So right now it's, like, probably about 4 to, like, 6 horses a day is what I do. But, you know, you have to take into account, like, how long it takes to tack the horse up and cool them off. So it takes about, like, an hour a horse once it's all said and done, and then with the driving. So that's, like, a typical day for me. But with the horses, it changes, because you just don't know, like, is the horse going to be a jerk? or are they going to be good today?
Yeah, that was good because I'm glad you answered that way because that was going to be one of my questions is if like the horse takes rest days just like we do for OCR, or if there's like is there like a structured training plan like all right today I'm going to ride the horse for X hours, or like does he like just like a personal trainer would write like run 10 miles today or run 5 miles, lift weights, etc. Is it like a very structured or is it more loose?
For me, like, it's interesting you say that because, like, for eventing, which is like the 3-day thing where they have to go out and do cross country, which I actually think is very similar to OCR. They have to do that. They have to actually have trot set days or galloping, and that is like they'll have, and a lot of times like these top riders have like their working students do that work. So they say like take the horse out for this long, and they have to trot for like 10 minutes straight, then walk, then 10 minutes straight, and it's like a certain set time. For us, like I'll maybe plan in something like, okay, this day I want to take the horse out and just like take it in the field, like for a mental thing. But because they only have to perform for 5 minutes, like I consider like a dressage horse's work a little bit more like maybe like what a crossfitter would be like, where like you don't have to do quite as long, you don't really have to have the endurance, like they have to have a lot of power and strength behind. So, but at the same time, like you just never know what you're going to get. So you might go into it thinking like, today I'm going to work on this, but then you get on the horse and it's completely, you can't do that. Like the horse is telling you like, I can't do that today. And you have to address a different problem. So in some ways, like, yeah, it is structured. And once you get to know the horse, like you'll get to know like, okay, this horse seems to be best the 3 days into work. And after I do this, so then if a horse show is coming up, the competition, you'll know, okay, this horse is best on its 3rd day, so we're going to work it Thursday and Friday, and we'll only work it for 20 minutes on Friday before the show, and then we'll give it Wednesday off. And so it is structured, but at the same time, like, horses love to throw you curveballs that you sit on them, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I wanted to work on this today, but actually we're just going to do this.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask, because now that I'm by no means a rancher or anything like that, but seeing a little bit more animals, and the horse, you keep saying, like, whether it's literal or not, and I kind of know some of it is, that the horse, like, throws you into a wall, or from your perspective, are horses known as, like, a smart animal and easy to coach and teach? Or I've heard kind of different that, like, horses are dumb, so I don't know, like, how true that is.
Honestly, horses are like people. So, like, you have your really smart horses that are, like, super easy to work with, and then you have your ones that are literally, like, they're so stupid. You're just, like, and I've actually had one of my best horses, I swear, she was, like, the stupidest horse. But she was so talented. Like, it took her, and honestly, it's probably why we got along, because, like, she was kind of like me, that, like, it just took her forever to figure stuff out. And then, like, once she got it, like, man, that horse can do it well. And so it's so funny, because, like, people don't understand, like, how much personality these horses have, and they are so different. And I have had horses who I swear are smarter than me, and they know it, and so then they're just jerks, because they're like, no, I'm smarter than you. Or you have horses who are really dumb, and so they're just like, yeah, whatever you say, I'll do anything for you. So it depends horse to horse, but they are, like, they know what they're doing, and I don't think horse will ever do anything bad unless it's either out of, like, fear or pain. So I've never gotten a horse that I'm like, oh, this is just a bad horse. Like, the horses that have hurt me, they have some sort of past where something is bothering them, and that's what causes them to be bad, but I don't think they're just, like, innately evil.
And so
or maybe they are.
Yeah. Well, speaking of hurting, I don't want to, like, jump ahead or too far, but I mean, I think most people do kind of know, or at least have heard, that equestrian or dealing with horses is very dangerous. And I know from just knowing you personally from the past few years, but can you kind of elaborate a little bit?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Bubble wrap. So, like, how many injuries, or what has been your, like, injuries and extent a little bit? Because I know it might take the whole podcast to hear it.
Yeah, I'll try to make it, like, as not long-winded as possible. Yeah, I mean, I've broken like 13 bones, and essentially all of them except for, like, my feet from World's Toughest Mudder and, like, a hand from when I was, like, a 5th grader in soccer have all been from horses. And then I've had, I think 4 of my concussions have been from horses too. yeah, you just never know. Like, even they're just unpredictable. So like when I broke my back when I was 15, like I always say the rider it's always their fault. Like, it just is. Like, and I'll even own up to it. Like, when I broke my back, I picked a saddle that didn't fit the horse, and I didn't realize it. And so the horse kept bucking every time I tried to canter. And I thought, like, oh, maybe the horse is just being bad, because the horse hadn't been ridden in a couple weeks. So I'm like, oh, they're just being bad because they haven't been ridden in a couple weeks. Well, then, like, the saddle, like, literally slipped off to the side of the horse, and the horse, like, went ballistic, and the horse sent me flying. Like, so that was that injury. And then another horse, like the one I had to have surgery last year on, like, he was known for hurting trainers, and I had had him for 2 years, and he really, there was something, like, not right in this horse's head. Like, I actually think, like, this horse, like, was schizophrenic. Like, I'm not kidding you. I think this horse, like, saw things. And, like, he did. It was crazy. Like, there was no warning. You'd just be, like, trotting along, and this, like, horse would just, like, take off out of nowhere. And it was just, you would just be, like, totally chill, and then all of a sudden Walt was, like, gone. And so the day that he hurt me, really, when he finally got me off after 2 years, I would just said to the person in the ring, I'm like, oh, like, look how good he is. I can't believe this is the same horse. And honestly, like, looking back on it, I should have just, like, patted him and been done. But I was like, no, I got greedy, and I wanted to, like, do one last thing. Sure enough, horse lost its mind and sent me flying, and I landed on something and it punctured my elbow down to the joint. So you're always going to be at risk with the horses, and it's just our jobs to, like, to really listen to them and be aware and be mindful of what's going on. And what I've noticed, like, the horses that normally do hurt me, it's normally, like, either a newer partnership or, like, I ignored, like, some sort of, like, gut warning about it. Or, you know, also, this is, like, another reason why I think I get hurt more than the average person is, like, when you're riding, like, such a high volume of horses, like, just the likelihood of getting hurt is more likely than if you're only riding 1 or 2 horses a day.
Yeah, I could see that.
Thanks.
I had no idea there was so much risk involved. That's unbelievable. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the most, they say it's, like, one of the most dangerous sports, like, as far as, like, death-related and concussion. Like, it's, the concussions are, like, higher than football, apparently.
Jeez.
With, yeah.
That's what, I don't know, Evan, if you followed her or not, but, I mean, Adriane and I have been friends for a while.
And I'm like, oh, guess what yeah, I know. Guess what I'm
BattleFrog Cincinnati, that I think the one that I broke my leg at, you were, like, recovering from a concussion and running, and I remember I ran with you, and you're like,
yeah.
I don't know if I should keep going. I'm feeling kind of dizzy, and I was like, okay, let's just walk for a minute.
I remember that. That was, like, BattleFrog Cincy or something, right?
Yeah, that was before I broke my leg, like, on the first lap.
Yeah,
and you,
I remember that.
You started feeling better, and you took off, and then that's when I broke my leg, but I was just like, okay, well, I kept thinking I wanted to wait until the end, and I was like, did Adriane make it? Like, someone check on her, please?
Oh my god, I know. I'm trying to be smarter about it, and I feel so bad for Yancy, too, because I feel like every other month I'm like, Yancy, I'm sorry, this horse, like, trampled me, or like, oh, I'm sorry, I fell onto a wrought iron fence and stabbed my leg. Like, it's just...
Hey, that wasn't a horse, though. Let's just...
That wasn't a horse. But that's me. That's, like, how I am. I swear I'm, like, so... Like you, we're just accident-prone. It's a ginger thing.
Well, I was at BattleFrog Cincinnati. That was 2015. I was there also.
That was the year.
But I did not know either one of you at the time, so...
Well, yeah, we both managed to screw... Yeah, I do. Brenna, like, literally, like, destroyed her leg, like, right after I passed her.
Good times.
Yeah. Oh, BattleFrog.
I probably ran right past you at one point, Brenna, and was just in my own zone.
And you didn't even stop to help
I didn't
her?
even stop. I was doing VFX. I was
Way to go, Evan.
Sorry.
Everybody else stopped to check on me. Even Ryan ran by and was like, you okay? And I was like, yep, see you later.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, gosh.
So I've only ridden a horse once, and the horse was pretty much doing whatever it wanted. I was just sitting on its back, and it was just...
Yeah.
It was just, like, so it was my friend's mom had a horse, so she's like, oh, you want to go horse riding? And I'm like, sure, that's something I've never done before. She's like, you know, go left, and, like, it starts turning left, and she was like, great job. And I was like, no, I was pulling it to go right. It was just doing whatever it wanted. So,
yeah.
My question is, like, you know, as a rider, how physically intensive is it for you? Like, are you using a lot of grip strength to, you know, pull the horse around, or you're, you know, squeezing your legs a lot, stuff like that?
Well, you see, I'm the horse whisperer, so I just, like, telepathically tell them what to do, and they just do it. which is what it should look like, though. All joking aside, like, when it's done well, you actually really aren't doing that much. And so that's, like, one of my other big things with my clients is, like, I have people that are like, oh, you're just a good rider because you're so strong. And I'm like, no, actually, like, my thing with the training is that I just like to get the horses, like, really reactive and sensitive to the aids. So, like, if I want the horse to go forward, I teach the horses to go forward from, like, just barely touching them with my calf. Where, like, if someone's a really busy or loud rider, per se, like, they don't have control of their own body on the horse, then the horses end up actually tuning them out because they're making so much noise up there that the horse, like, can't hear them. Or, like, and it actually, like, you don't want to have a strong hold on the reins. Like, you want to be there for them and be steady. And you'll see some rider, like, if you see a bad ride, you'll see someone who's just, like, muscling the horse around. But, like, if you go and you search, like, Grand Prix dressage and search, like, the Olympic winning ride, like, you'll watch that rider and it will look like she's doing nothing. And that's because she is, like, all of her body parts are independent on the horse, so she can, like, use one part of her leg but have her seat bone doing something else. And that's, like, my job as a trainer is to, like, make sure the horses can respond from the lightest touch. That, like, if I just barely touch them with my calf or just move it, like, a quarter inch back, they know that that's different than if my leg is a quarter inch farther forward. Or if I just lightly raise my hand, like, a centimeter this way, they know that it means that. So if you have a new novice rider, they're going to, like, obviously be much more, like, exaggerated with their aids. And the horses that you would teach them on, like, teach a beginner on, like, are much more cooperative and patient with riders like that. But, like, if you throw a beginner on, like, a really, like, tuned up, like, Grand Prix horse, like, the horse would probably, like, freak out because we make them so sensitive that, like, the lightest touch gets them to react. So you put, like, a novice rider on them and they're banging around and the horse is just like, what is going on?
That's crazy. And seeing in that sense, to me, it seems like the horse, like, that makes it sound like horses are really smart, but it's more of probably the trainer, I guess. And, I mean, kind of it's a partner deal.
Yeah, it is totally a partnership. So, and when you've been with the horse for a while, like, they really get, like, my black unicorn is amazing. Like, I'm the only one who's ever ridden him. He's only been, I only started him a year ago because he's really young, but, like, I swear it's like this horse just, like, he just knows me so well that he's so easy to ride because he understands everything I have to say. Where, like, if another horse has multiple riders, like, it's a little bit harder for them. And like, you teach the riders when you're teaching them how to ride a movement, you teach them the aids for it, like what body parts to use to ask for it. But even if they're doing it, like, the same way that you do it, we're all still going to be a little bit different in our bodies. Like, you're essentially taking, like, an unsymmetrical person and putting on an unsymmetrical horse. Like, we all have our weaker and our stronger side. So even if I tell them, like, do it like this, like, well, their right leg might be a little bit longer than their left leg, and their pelvis might be a little bit crooked. So it's going to feel different for the horse than the other person. So it's, I could teach a horse how all the way up to Grand Prix, and I could have a great rider, but, like, it's still not going to be the same with both of us. Like, it's not going to feel the same to the horse.
Interesting. So one of the things we like to do on this podcast is try to pull lessons learned from other sports and kind of apply them to OCR. So I know we kind of talked about it a little bit already as far as, we need rest days just like a horse needs rest days, and, you can't work them to the max every day and stuff like that. Are there any other lessons that you think we can pull from your sport into OCR?
Definitely, yeah. I think the biggest thing that I've learned and been able to take into, like, my own personal OCR journey that I think, like, anyone else could take too is, like, so taking a horse from the bottom to the top, like, to Grand Prix, the highest level. Like, you can't even really start a horse until they're 3 years old. Well, like, assuming that nothing goes wrong, the horse doesn't get hurt, that the horse is talented and smart enough, and that you have access to all the right tools to, like, a good trainer, good coach, good vet, shoes are good, then they're not even going to get to Grand Prix until they're, like, 9 or 10 years old. So that's, like, 7 or 8 years to get to the your very best, you know, and then once you get there, then it's going to take another 2 or 3 years before they get really good at that level. So, like, dressage has really taught me, like, being determined and being really patient and persistent. And I think I've been able to, like, apply that to OCR, like, when I get, like, a little frustrated sometimes, I'm like, well, you know what, like, it just takes time, and, like, you can't rush the process. Like, it's a process. So, you know, if you're getting, like, upset because, like, you're not hitting PRs or you're not where you want to be, like, you just have to look at how long it takes to make it in a sport, and, like, it just takes a long time, like, for your heart to get strong enough and your legs to get strong enough. So I try to, like, remind myself, like, where I was at the start of my riding career and journey, and say, like, that took a long time, so it's okay if I'm not where I want to be yet.
That's awesome. That's one of my favorite things I've heard, crossing over from sport to sport, patience and consistency. So that's awesome. Thank you. So thank you for that. I think,
yeah,
because people ask me this basically the same thing, like, oh, well, what am I doing wrong? How do I get better? And it's like, well, you know, like, you know, I've been running consistently, like, multiple days a week, you know, since, I don't know, 2000, I guess it was before 2000, 1990, like 6, right? So
yeah, for a long freaking time.
Yeah. So
yeah, it just takes so long. You know, it's old. Like, yeah, I'm the baby of the group.
I think I'm the oldest one. No, that's sad.
How old are you?
I'm only 35. Or am I 30? Yeah, 35.
Oh man, you're so old. Am I? Gray hairs.
I tell my wife they're light brown. They're light brown hairs.
Are you starting to go bald?
No, I have a good head of hair. My hair's okay. My hair's full. It's just I got some light brown ones in there.
There you go. Yeah, light brown ones. That means gray. That's okay. Embrace it.
Hey, we're just happy because gingers don't get gray.
You know what? But then again, like, your mom, I hope you're actually listening, because my mom, like, she's okay. You've seen her. What color is her hair?
Red.
No, it's not. It is like, now it is because she got it dyed finally, but, like, it's like gray blonde, and so everyone thinks she's blonde, and she gets so mad. She gets so mad that she'll flash people to show them that she's a redhead.
That's aggressive.
So she's gonna love that I just shared that, but she will. But she gets so pissed. So they do gray, because she turned, like, super light blonde.
Damn it, that's not good to know.
I know.
Oh, anyway, sorry, I'll be real. But I was going to ask, since we're kind of switching now, like, kind of crossing them over into OCR, I don't know if this plays into it or not, or if this is, like, me talking just from knowing you personally. I don't want to give away any secrets, but is it your barn personally, or we've seen through, like, following your posts and just knowing you that you've set up kind of a little bit of a barn gym per se, or training grounds, or like what do you have going on there that you kind of mix?
Yeah, so it's actually my mom's farm, but that's where I have my horse at now, and she, like, got one of those, like, CrossFit rigs from our old trainer when he was like getting rid of his job. So we have like 5 bars in a row you can lache from, and then we, like, got several rings and we hung them from the rafters, and we're hoping to, like, get a salmon ladder in there, and she found someone who can, like, build a warped wall. So we're kind of hoping to, like, convert one side of the barn into a ninja gym, because why not? I mean, isn't that, like, that'd just be so cool? And eventually, like, hopefully even, like, have, like, some rider fitness classes, because it really, like, even though I don't think you have to be, like, muscularly strong to ride a horse, like, it is good to be, the fitter you are, like, the more independent you can be with your aids in your body. So it is really important to be fit to ride, but, like, riding won't make you fit. You have to do stuff outside of riding to become fit for the horse, and then use that to actually be a quieter rider, not to use your strength against the horse. So, ninja gym in the barn, you know, be fun training for our clients if they will let us do shenanigans with them.
Well, and that reminds me, I was going to ask you, say, like, riding a horse and being fit, going back to just kind of starting riding, I mean, it's uncomfortable and makes you sore all over, correct? Like, just like when you start out, does that, you get used to that and it goes away, just muscle soreness, or is that something?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because my massage therapist, actually, she just started riding, learning to ride, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, my inner thighs are so sore and all of this, and And I think it is. It's like when you've never done it before, like you're using muscles like you didn't know that you had. So like you're going to get sore. But then if you like all of a sudden up your volume in horses, like you'll just get kind of like overall fatigued. But for me, just because I've been doing it for so long, like the only time I ever notice I'm sore is either if I get thrown off or like a horse tried to buck me off, and so I'm like holding on for dear life with my legs. Sometimes then like my inner thigh gets a little bit sore, but it doesn't, like, the people that have the idea of, like, if I just ride a bunch, I'll be fit, like, you're not, like, to a certain point, yes, like, you're moving, right? But if you were to strap a heart rate monitor on while you were riding a horse, like, your heart rate isn't ever going to get high enough, long enough to really be a beneficial workout. But it's also not fair, like, if you want to expect your horse to be doing everything really well, like, you have to have good control of your body. So if you have someone who's out of shape and they're on a horse, it's not fair to the horse. Like, you have this athlete, you're trying to train this horse to be an athlete, and you're competing in a sport, but yet you're not even caring about your own body. And, like, that really bothers me, because I see these unfit riders who, like, want to blame the horse, like, for their mistakes. Like, they get mad because the horse is, like, unbalanced, and it's like, well, you're unbalanced. Like, you need to work on you. And it just gets me really heated.
It's like you put on this weight vest with all the weight, all this heavy weight on one side, and you try doing something.
Exactly. It's exactly that, you know. And if someone's working on it, like, then I'm like, great. As long as you're working on it, good. But when someone wants to give me that whole spiel of, like, well, I'm in the barn all day and I lift this and that, like, great. No, that's not enough. Like, I don't care. It's not enough.
Cool. So one of the hot topics in OCR has been, like, a governing body or organizing body for OCR. So what's that look like in dressage or equestrian? Is there one league, or is there multiple leagues, or, you know, kind of, yeah, let's go with that to start off with.
Yeah, there's actually, so there's multiple. So we have an international federation, which is FEI, which is Federation Equestrian International, and so any, like, international competition, or CDI, we have CDIs like that are throughout the world, and we have some in the U.S. Those are international competitions, so they have to abide by those rules. And then we have USEF, which is the United States Equestrian Federation, which is kind of like the overseeing governing body for all of the different disciplines. So for dressage, eventing, show jumping, local Western sports, any of them that are going to go to a legitimate competition, they have to abide by the USEF rules. And then beneath that, you have, like, federations within the sport. So then we have the United States Dressage Federation. So if you go to a show here in the U.S., you not only have to abide by the United States Dressage Federation rules, but you have to abide by the United States Equestrian Federation rules too. And then if you go to an international competition, you have to abide by all three of them. So they all kind of work together, and all the rules are pretty similar. The FEI rules, the international ones, are like, there's a little bit stricter, like when you go and you look at the drug policies and what you can and can't give. And they also follow WADA, like all of those. I'm not sure about USDF, actually. I have to check, but I know USEF competitions and the FEI, like, you're under the WADA rules. And they actually I have heard some stories of them testing riders, especially if they competitions, but they do drug testing for the horses at every competition. It's random, and you actually have to pay a $16 US. Oh, my dog's freaking out. Ari, stop it. Sorry. You have to pay a $16 drug fee every single competition that goes to USEF just for the drug testing.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that, because I was going to ask a stupid question, and you're saying they follow WADA, and then you're like, yeah, they test the riders every once in a while. It's like, wait, so is this for the horse or the rider?
Yeah, yeah. So the horse, like, that's its own. That's what USEF and USDF make, and then, like, FEI has their own ones, which is essentially everything that USDF has and some more stuff. It's just, like, a little bit stricter. And it's just as crazy as the WADA list. It's all these, you have to be so careful about what you give the horses, because it could just be like an ointment that, like I read this one story. about this like show jumper that like the horse tested positive for something. It was because the groom was using Rogaine and like touched the horse and it tested. Like it's just like it's stuff like that happens a lot. Like they're super strict. Like at every show there's horses getting tested, and so they have to like. It's really awkward though too, because you'll like finish your ride and you come out of the ring and there's like this USEF rep and they're like, okay, we're testing you, we're testing your horse, and they have to sit there and wait for the horse to pee.
That was gonna be my next question. It was like a blood sample. They just like stand there with a big bucket.
They do blood sample and pee sample, and they like the poor like person, whoever, like I feel so bad for this person that has this job because like my horse is always such a jerk. And someone has to be there as a witness, so, like, I normally, like, just have, like, the groom or, like, because I have, like, a bunch of horses to ride and coach at the show, so I always have to leave someone else with them. And I'll be like, how long did it take? And they're like, oh, my God, it took, like, 2 hours for your horse to pee. So, like, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
In triathlon, there's, like, Olympic... So there's a bunch of different distances, right? There's sprint, there's Olympic distance, then there's half iron and full iron. Is the dressage at the Olympics, is that different from like some of the local events or some of the other national events, or is it basically the same format, same style?
It's so there are you're all going to compete. Like if you go to the Olympics, you're going to compete in the Grand Prix, and they have there's 3 different tests that they have. They have like the regular Grand Prix. And then they have the Grand Prix Special, which is just like, it's the same movements, it's just the test is like designed slightly different. And then you have the freestyle, and the freestyle is like you have a list of movements that you have to perform each way, and it's of like the minimum, this is how many meters you have to show of it. And then there's another score sheet that's for the artistic mark. So then you get to make your own routine to music, and so then they judge you like not only on the movements but for like the artistic side as well. And then there's like a team, and so the freestyle is individual, and then they use the Grand Prix or the special for like the regular for the team part of it.
Man, who knew? This is very just enlightening.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so detailed.
Yeah, I'm learning a ton on this episode. This is, like, almost every time you open your mouth, I learn something new. So this is good.
Who would have known that horses can do so many things, right?
Well, and speaking of the Olympics, I think I'm sorry, there were so many awesome accomplishments. You were junior Olympic, correct?
Yeah. So for dressage, we have, it's called the North American Junior Young Rider Championship. And so that's like our junior Olympic, and it's really hard to make. And there's a junior one and there's a young rider one. So I tried, I'm not telling you, this freaking team took me 6 years to make. And I finally made it my last year in Young Riders, which is the harder one. And so they take there's different zones throughout North America, and they send you there, and you have to be in the top 4, and you have to have a really high average. And the whole idea is that the people, they make you follow the same procedure as what it would be like to qualify for the Olympic team or the World Equestrian Games or the Pan American team. So the whole idea is the people that make that team eventually are likely going to make an Olympic team someday. And it's supposed to get you used to what the format is like. So I did that back in 2015.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is, have you considered or wanted to have a goal or set a goal for going towards the Olympics or Pan America, what'd you just say, or World Championship?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'd love to, and that's the thing with the horses, is it's our people that are on, these Olympic teams and, the World Equestrian Games, they're in, their 50s. It takes a really long time in the sport just because it's not, just you, but it's, having, a freak of a nature horse at the right time, because the horse has to be ready on that 4-year cycle. And having the money and the financial support. And so that's kind of why I bought the horse I have now a year ago, because but prior to that, I was just having clients' horses, and I felt every time, it's a business relationship, and every time I felt the horse was really close to about to do something really big, something would happen, and we'd part ways. And I just got so sick of it, being with this horse that I was so close with, that trusted me so much, and then having this, like, owner just rip the horse away for, like, ridiculous reasons, that I was like, you know what, I'm getting my own horse, and if it happens, like, and it's meant to be, like, it'll happen, but I'm not gonna, like, go out searching to find some sort of sponsor to get a horse to do it, because I just don't like it that way. It wasn't fun for me. It was really heartbreaking, like the horse that I did the junior Olympic team on. I lost the ride on her for ridiculous reasons, and I just don't want to deal with that again. So if I make it someday, like, it's going to be on my own horse.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Evan, do we want...
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, do we want to, like, skip kind of, I mean, we've covered, like, horse, I just am amazed at horse information, I think, because I had no idea.
I give a lot.
Well, no, it's awesome, because, I mean, I follow your stuff and I see it, but I have no idea, like, what you're doing. So now I can actually see posts and see what you're doing with your horse and kind of put a little bit more background and sense to it, which people listening that follow you and watch will kind of, I think, be more intrigued and have an understanding of it. But also we want to tie into just kind of, you had a smaller, like, start in OCR with distances and various races, and then now you've grown to endurance, Adriane. I think that's kind of your specialty, and if we want to kind of jump into that for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Evan, do you want to lead since you're our endurance specialist here, and, you know, y'all have a, like, world's toughest mudder and toughest mudder bond?
Sure. So the first time I heard your name was at BFX 24 when you got on the podium there. I could not make that event, but I'm jealous you got to go to the one and only one. But so I guess my question is, I guess, what do you have planned for 2018 as far as, you know, are you doing the toughest series again? Are you going to do OCR Enduro, or what's your plan?
Yeah, I really want to do OCR Enduro if I can, like, get the money to go, because it's in Australia and all. But that's, like, the big plan is world's toughest mudder, and I'd like to do 5 of the toughest again. I just think that's enough to, like, you know, hopefully get in the top 3 and get elite contender status, hopefully, and without overdoing it. So I want to do 5 of those. I'd like to go do the Enduro World Championship, and then obviously world's toughest mudder. And then if my body isn't broken, like, maybe Iceland. But I feel like that race, like, even this year when I was thinking about it, I'm like, you can't really plan that one until after, because you just don't know what your body's going to be like then to the season. And, like, thank God I didn't pay for it this year, since I, like, freaking destroyed my head at world's toughest mudder.
Yet again.
I know.
Are you going to start racing with the helmet this year?
I actually, like, feel like I need to. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm so paranoid now. Like, I'm going to be a vegetable if I keep hitting my head.
Well, I guess not just racing. Like, I mean, you probably have a helmet for riding, but I swear, I think you just need a helmet in life.
But here's the funny thing, is, like, I literally wear my helmet around the barn all the time now. Like, not just when I'm riding. Because I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, I'm not going to have, like, my black unicorn knock me out because we're having, like, an intense game of tag. Like, no.
I was to say, I mean, you played tag with it. So.
I know. Which probably isn't the smartest thing, but it's just too much fun, so. Until he body slams me.
With all the endurance focus, and you said you're essentially building a ninja gym in your barn, are you going to try out for Ninja Warrior again, or did you submit an application this year?
I did submit an application, and they actually called me a couple days ago which was like a total tease, because I saw the 818 number, and I remember thinking, like, wow, this is, like, really early for them to call, and I answered, and I was like, oh my god, hey! And they were like, no, like, I was like, what? He was like, we're just calling to get more information, and he's like, I'm sure you've had these calls before, and I'm like, no. I've never had this call before, so I think, you know, it went well, and he told me, like, oh, if you do get back on, then, like, you'll probably be going back to the Florida one. So I really hope I get to go back on. But, like, now I'm so nervous, because I'm like, man, they've never called me, like, prior to calling me. So I don't know what that means.
Well, and something else, speaking of American Ninja Warrior, we didn't mention this in any of her awesome accomplishments, and I'm just going to bring it up because I mean, I'm kind of partial to it, but this ginger was also on Broken Skull Challenge, correct?
I knew it. I knew you were going to bring it up.
Which I did horrible.
Couldn't make it an episode.
Sorry, well, the only thing that made me think of it, and I haven't said anything to anybody, well, maybe today, but there's a new show, and I just found out from my sister, which I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't know. I missed the Tonight Show after the Super Bowl with The Rock. He announced that he is hosting, and there's a new show coming out called the Titan Challenge, hosted by The Rock, who is like my biggest all-time crush. And so, I mean, sorry, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you were awesome to meet, but I spent all day today at work filling out an application online for the Titan Challenge.
Awesome.
So, Adriane, what's up?
Is that why you kept asking the questions? I get it now.
Well, I saw that on Facebook, and I'm like, that is such a TV application question. I'm like, what is she filling out?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, okay, this is how obsessed I am with The Rock. My sister was like, are you applying for the show? I was like, what show? And she goes, The Rock show. I was like, well, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? So I looked it up on Google, and I skipped over the teaser video of what it's about, and I just started applying.
You don't even know what it is?
No, the only thing I saw was that he was inspired by American Ninja Warrior, which it didn't mention Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge, which I thought would have been funny because they were both wrestlers.
Yeah.
But he said he was inspired by American Ninja Warrior, and it's an NBC show anyway, so that's probably why. But I haven't watched the teaser yet, so I don't care.
I love you. That's like so awesome.
I was like, I don't know if I'm more excited about getting on another competition show or I just want to meet The Rock.
That's so funny. I have to check that out.
The Rock's got like 3 movies coming out simultaneously in the next couple months. It's ridiculous. He had a Super Bowl trailer that a movie that I didn't even know that he was coming out for. And he's got like 2, like one app, I think Jumanji and fucking Rampage.
Well, Jumanji's amazing.
And then whatever Skyscraper, there's a new one.
Where he's like
it's insane.
a vet amputee. I mean, I'm sorry, he's amazing.
I have to look this. As soon as we like finish this, I'm looking this up. Like, I love you though. You're like, I'm not even gonna watch the teaser. I'm just gonna apply. But then, how did you know what to say? Like, would it ask you like, why would you be good for the show?
Yeah, because you've filled out the applications now for American Ninja Warrior and Broken Skull,
yeah.
and
so it was I wonder if it was the same application, because I know for Spartan and American Ninja Warrior it was like literally the exact same application.
Well, this is what made me so mad, is because all the questions, I wish out of all these applications I filled out for TV that I saved my answers somewhere, because every time I fill them out all over again, and it's like essays. These are the exact same questions about, like, plan your achievement.
Yeah. Oh, well, here's something to know, because I didn't realize this. So Ninja Warrior, like, it saves your written application from the year before when you log in. Well, like, so, like, last year, like, you know, I changed some stuff, but I'm like, oh, nothing really changed. And so then, like, this year I did the same thing. I'm like, they probably don't really read into it that much. And, like, oh my God, my cats are literally going psycho right now. And I'm like, you know, they probably don't, like, really read, like, my novel paragraphs. Like, well, when the guy called me, he hadn't watched my video yet. And he was like, well, it just seems like not a whole lot changed. And I was like, oh, shit, you guys, like, actually really read them.
Okay, so it's...
Lesson learned. I think next year I might have to, like, actually rewrite those answers.
Okay, so that's good then. My sister kept asking me, she's like, why didn't you save these answers? And I was like, I don't know. So I've been asking everybody all day the stupid, like, 3 words to describe me. And
Yeah, so if it's the same, like, if it's, like, an NBC show, like, maybe put different ones, because I learned that lesson the hard way.
All right, for those of you listening, tricks of the trade for those that have applied for TV shows.
Yeah, I think it was the same guy, too, because he was like, I haven't watched your video yet. I'm like, why are you calling before you didn't watch the video? I'm like, it's a good video. And he's like, I'm sure it is. Your video last year was really good. And I was like, oh, shit, it's like the same dude. He's literally reading, like, all of the same answers.
Well,
or he's got a ginger crush. That's the other possibility.
I don't know. If he had ginger crush, then he should have told me I was on it instead of, you know, getting my hopes up and then crushing my soul.
Well, what soul?
It's true, right? What little bit there was is now gone.
Well, yeah, no, you have to look up the Titan Challenge, and because they have, it's an application and a video, and I haven't looked at the video requirements either. I don't know if it's just like a talking video or if it's like an American Ninja. Yeah, I should probably do more, but I don't care.
That's so funny. You'll probably have to do like one of those 3-minute videos, and you know.
And that's why I've never applied for American Ninja Warrior, is because of the video. I don't know why, but I had this like fear of putting together a video. And yours was awesome. Like I saw your video, so I'm excited and hope that you get back on to watch you.
Oh, that's sweet.
You this time.
That makes sense. You have a fear of video considering you host a podcast and we put out weekly Technique Tuesday videos and Workout Wednesday on the Conquer the Gauntlet Protein
Yeah.
page. That's totally reasonable.
No, my sister said so for the Spartan, or no wait, which show was I on? Yeah, for the Spartan Challenge, I submitted a video, and I can do live videos fine and love going live. But if you like film me or if there's another person holding the camera and filming me, I'm really weird and awkward. And I sent a video to my sister when I applied for that show, and she was just like, what was wrong with you? I was like, I don't know. I wasn't live.
You just need me to do it for you, because I'll do it like without you realizing it.
Yeah, it was bad. So I'm hoping, like, if there's a video, I'm just going to do it live and then, like, somehow download the video. I don't know. I haven't
put, like, a camera up and just start talking, and then, like, that's what I've started to try to do instead of trying to script it, because it's so hard, like, scripting it. But if you just, like, put the video and, like, just kind of talk, then you can take what you want from it, and then it just, like, sounds more authentic than, like, you're reading from something.
Man, this is amazing. Look what we've covered on this episode. Horses, OCR, endurance, TV applications.
Yeah, yeah. Although, who knows, maybe mine aren't good anymore. I'm like, seriously, that guy's phone call, like, it's got me all, like, anxious and sad. I'm like, oh, man, I should have, like, done this differently. But, oh, well.
Cool. So we're going to start wrapping things up. Adriane, where can people follow you on social media? I know Brenna has plugged your social media channels like a dozen times already.
Yeah.
But give us the actual, handle and stuff.
So Unbroken Adriane on Instagram is probably the best place to follow me. Or you can just search my name on Facebook, Adriane Alvord, and friend me. I think my Facebook is, like, public, so you can friend me and see all the stuff. But, like, Instagram, definitely trying to get more creative with that, because mostly just, like, my business stuff is on my Facebook page.
Gotcha. Well, this was actually really cool. I know in the past I have made some disparaging remarks about dressage, mostly because I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
So you schooled me pretty good on this, and I will stop making disparaging remarks from this point forward.
Yeah,
but
that was better not. At least not about my unicorn.
That was awesome though. Tons of great information. Very educational, so that was cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, before we go, any final shout-outs? Adriane, sponsors, friends, family, anything you want, your business, etc.?
Yeah, I guess I want to give a shout-out to my clients that I have, because I feel like they've been, like, really understanding and patient with me with all of my, like, shenanigans and crazy adventures. So I definitely want to thank them for putting up with me and for trusting with their horses, and shout out to my mom, also same thing, for putting up with all my craziness and taking me to the hospital time and time again. So, there you go. Thanks, Mom.
Brenna, what do you got?
Oh, man, I feel like it's so far from race season, I don't even know where to begin. This is a random shout-out, kind of like under the radar. It's not known who all the behind-the-scenes people are, but just kind of a shout out to the crew that I've been working with. I've been on build crew for OCR WC the past 2 years, and last year US champs, this year NORAM. So just a shout out to everybody behind the scenes that is working with those companies, from Adventure LLC and the new American OCR Association that just went live past couple weeks. I don't know when this will air. So that's live and running, taking memberships, and shout out to Adriane, who, Visionata behind it, not Adriane that's on the show, sorry.
That's what I figured you're talking about.
Been working with them, and just a big shout out to all the people behind the scenes and everybody taking care of all the athletes first and making that something unique and always people go to it. So again, Enduro champs and NORAM and OCRWC this year are going to be amazing. So I hope everybody's checking out the content we're putting out and following that. So that's my shout out for this episode.
Man, yours just put mine to shame. Shout out to all the awesome athletes out there too.
Nice. So I got a couple plugs. If you're not following Strength and Speed, please check it out. We just added more items to our store, including Bleg mitts. So the glove created by Deanna Bleg, World's Toughest Mudder champion. It's like a mitten made of neoprene, and then essentially has like a slit on the side where you take your hands out so you can do obstacles easier. Strength and Speed's now the only distributor of Bleg mitts in the U.S., so you don't have to pay the excessive shipping costs from the other side of the globe. So if anyone wants a pair of Bleg mitts, we now have them in stock, so definitely head over to Strength and Speed and check that out. Also, shout out to Hammer Nutrition. Renewed my sponsorship for 2018. They've been so good to me, and the awesome part about them is every year that I'm with them, they keep adding more and more benefits. So love them a lot. I know Brenna just placed an order with them. So Brenna, give us a quick rundown of some of the stuff you ordered.
Ooh, I'm super excited because I just found out I feel like an old lady every day, and all my joints ache, and I found like every ache in my body I realized was around a joint. So I got their joint supplement. Evan, correct me, what's the name of it actually?
Tissue Rejuvenate. It's like glucosamine, chondroitin, and some other joint health supplement mix.
Yeah, so I have that in the mail. It should be here today or tomorrow, actually. So hopefully soon I can give kind of like a review on that. But I'm super excited. And their coffee, because Evan was my secret Santa for Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team this year. And he gave me coffee that I had no idea Hammer Nutrition makes and distributes coffee. And
is it good?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. So I finished the bag he gave me like way too fast, and so I just ordered another bag. Yeah.
Does it like get you super
That reminds
powered?
me. Oh, that's all right. Go ahead, Adriane.
I was asking to like make you super mentally charged. That coffee.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's just really good because they said it's all organic, and I think it was like a medium roast, medium to dark, and it was really smooth and not like a bunch of gunk left in the bottom. I don't know. It was just amazing. It's delicious, and I drink black coffee, so it was awesome.
Oh man, you're crazy. You're a crazy ginger.
Yeah, they have a light, medium, and dark roast, and then a decaf version. It's all organic. If you use code 240887, which is all over my website and my Facebook page, you can get 15% off your first order. Big fan of Tissue Rejuvenate. That's what I used for OCR America. Also a big fan of REM caps. So if you're from the toughest community, World's Toughest Mudder community, and you're going to be racing some of those 24-hour events or the 8-hour events, I highly recommend REM caps. It's basically melatonin and some other like natural sleep aids. So I actually take it during the day before Toughest Mudder, and it lets me sleep in and take a longer nap, and it also lets me sleep deeply the night before World's Toughest Mudder. So I'm not waking up every hour like checking my watch, waiting for the race to start.
Wait, when you take it during the day for a toughest?
I pretty much take it. I'll take it 8 hours before the event or earlier. So
Okay.
like I want it to like clear my system.
Yeah.
So I'm not sleepy
not,
during
like,
the event.
sleepy one. That's a good idea. Because I feel like I take groggy, but that's interesting.
Yeah, huge fan of that. And I've been traveling. I was in Germany like 2 weeks ago, and I'm going again in like a week. Also helps with adjusting to time zones. It's awesome. So if you're going to enduro, I would definitely pick some of that stuff up. It's awesome.
You need to try that because he gave it to me in Lebanon, and I loved it. And I don't really randomly just take something random at a random location being in Lebanon, but nothing weird happened.
That you know of.
Yeah. Giving Brenna roofies in Lebanon.
Like
Yeah,
that might happen. I don't know. It's so crazy.
That's a misconception, by the way.
I would know. I've never been there. I'm just saying, like, I took this random thing, like, in Lebanon. Like, okay. It just sounds like the start of a Hangover movie.
All right, on that note, I think we need to end this episode.
It's get a little too crazy.
Tujin.
Cool. So I think that wraps it up pretty good for the Strength and Speed podcast. Adriane, thanks again for coming on.